Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the GAIA Daily for April 5th and 6th, 2020. How are you doing? Well, today we have our very last day of Jupiter and Pluto in exact conjunction. Wow, what a time we've been in. And powerful meditations yesterday, group meditations all over the world, taking advantage of the energy of 444. And this is a lot of what is the message, the energy right now for these soul groups is that you are here and finally coming in to your soul purpose, finally everything making sense with what you're here to do. Because you are here to hold the light, the possibility, and the new vibrations of what's really happening in the world, this spiritual evolution. So the picture that's coming forward that is maybe starting to make a little bit of sense of what's going on has to do with a convergence of timelines that's happening. And so this energy of this event, this time that we're in, has to do with, we've all heard about this, right? That we're going to have something happen. And there's been numerous things over the last couple of decades of like, okay, this event, and we're going to like, maybe it's a pole shift, maybe it's a solar flash, maybe it's a world war or whatever. Something is going to move humanity into the next dimensional frequency. And it appears that we are at this time now. And so in a way, it might help make sense of what's going on in the fact and why it all doesn't make sense. So if we look at this as a convergence, so whatever timeline you're on, and we've all been kind of in these parallel timelines. Now, in order to move humanity through this portal into an earth, into the next dimensional frequency, we have to all come into a vibration. Now, this is why, and it makes sense why you're being called into your soul purpose right now, which is, of course, nebulous, and you don't know exactly what that means, but you know that it means to be present in your ceremonial, meditative, spiritual energies, allowing more and more your permission to come into these higher frequency vibrations. Because now this has to do with this big energy of the next week. We'll be feeling it through the end of this week of Mars in square to Uranus. Now it peaks out on the 7th, 8th around of April. And but Mars in Aquarius is like, come on, let's go. Let's get out of the birth canal. Let's move it forward. Let's get into the age of Aquarius. It's getting really uncomfortable in this in-between place, right? But then in square to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius and Taurus, it's speaking to the core number one issue for these soul groups, which is, do you deserve it? Are you worthy of it? Which is crazy because we've been talking about how these soul groups have, the definition of these soul groups is that you're an expert already at spiritual ascension. You've already gone through it. You spent many, many lifetimes and whole evolutions before you came to Earth. And this is why you came. And you've been just kind of limping through life over lifetimes, being attacked, and being persecuted for who you are. And so the paradigm energy shift that we're in is going from being attacked for who you are as a light worker and as an ascension leader, because everything that control energies, their whole point in everything they're doing is to hold back our spiritual evolution so that they continue to farm us and mine our energy. They feed on our emotional energy, which is why this type of event keeps happening. Because it's like, oh, the whole world's in panic and fear, and that's like food for them, right? And so, but we also have to have a bloom. And so if we look at this, that whatever, so many souls, so many light worker souls on the planet right now that have been holding space, doing everything they can to try to figure out to move into a new paradigm, to let go of the old stories, and but now we have to converge with all the other timelines to go through this portal. And so that's really a lot of what the tension is about with this Mars square Uranus. And the message for these souls is that for you, it's all about whether or not you can feel like you deserve, which is silly because it's why you're here and why you've gone through everything you've gone through and why all the pain you've experienced and heavy energies finally make sense, and that it's all worth it in the end, or the beginning, which is where we're at, this birth of what humanity, what the earth really came here to be, you know? And you carry those original codes, a lot of what we talked about in that beautiful meditation yesterday. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And if you want to catch the replay, you can still go catch the replay of that meditation and tap into the energy of that Victory of the Light meditation. Now, so we're at this place where with Mercury in conjunction to Neptune, and then we have one more day of this. This is completing. Mercury's moving fast now. Mercury's like, get me through the muck. Like, I have been in Pisces long enough, right? And a very powerful energy when Mercury this weekend moves into Aries. And that happens on Easter. And so on Sunday. And so it's like we're in this place of completing, the Aquarian age and in the birth canal. But we'll see what this week holds, because this week is really an assimilation week. It's about culminating and completing and sorting things out. But Mercury and Neptune is stimulating a lot of energies that have to do with this Mars square Uranus for these souls of deep grief, deep feelings from your past lives coming up where you were thwarted in your mission, your spiritual purpose, to the point where you've disconnected yourself so far that you don't even believe or trust that you have a spiritual mission or a purpose. And yet now it's landing. Not specifically, but energetically, it's clear that you have a powerful and very important role here. And what a powerful shift with all those global meditations yesterday of like, we're taking the reins back on this reality, right? Like, there's so many more of us, and there's so many light workers, there's so many advanced souls on the planet that aren't as susceptible to the groupthink, to the technological control, to the interference energies, to the mind control. And it's like, oh, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here right now. So it's like, of course, a very different energy from the people around you that are most likely in panic and fear and frustration and like just so confused. We're all so confused. But this is the time for you to come into your power. And it's so important. And yet it's so empowering too, because you finally get to use your gifts and skills and be recognized, received, and honored for that. And that everything that you've had in your life, all of your skills, which have been worthless in this world, like, why don't you just go along with the program and accumulate items and get degrees and be something in the world, right? And it's like, and everybody around you telling you have nothing to offer the world, right? And you have everything we need right now. Is so powerful. And that's where we're getting this shift for these souls. But know that a lot of stuff's coming up in this bloom of collective consciousness. It's like all of this stuff is coming up around where you failed in your mission and like you weren't able to complete, and there's something I need to do. A lot of souls will be like, there's something I need to do. And it's like, wait a minute, you're doing it. You're doing it by being here and being in your vibration. So a big, strong message around you breathing on the planet is helping. You just in who you are, being, existing is helping. And then can we take it up a notch into our soul power, into this permission to be in our ceremonial space, our meditative space, our holding this vision, activating the codes, which all comes down to, you could put it into a million different words and concepts, but it all comes down to feeling good. Your spiritual purpose and what's so needed, and so much gratitude for you stepping in to who you really are right now, requires you to feel good. Requires you to allow joy, to allow the crowning, to allow this crown chakra activation, because you are an expert that didn't have any worth and support in this world. And now it's like, we need you. you know? So it's a very, very strange time, but it really fits this energy of Mars square Uranus and Mercury and Neptune together. This blooming of these feelings of I'm not doing what I'm here to do. I'm failing at my mission. I'm not worthy of my light. I'm not, and all that. But know that all the stuff that's coming up, especially planetary grief, feeling like it's all your fault. And this is something just normal in these soul groups. But these feelings are coming up, but they're also passing really quickly and passing over into empowerment. Like, oh, I have a role to play and it's really important and it's really fun. And there's my soul group doing it. We're here together, right? And so this is the shift that's being required of us right now that is the birth of humanity. It is the crowning, the corona, the crown chakra activation, and finally coming out of the birth canal of like that in-between place. We know we can't go back. There's a place in birth as a mother, as a woman, and you're like, oh God, you just want it to go away, but there you can't put the baby back in, it's like, and we've already crossed that threshold, the birth of humanity is happening. And are you going to be like, can you step into the light of truth of who you are? Which means feeling good, which is very opposite of what you thought you were here to do, is to struggle and be beaten down and all, so we're undoing lifetimes of stories right now. And like just drop, but we're having also a huge amount of support and permission to just drop that shit, like a whole bunch of ill-fitting clothing. Because what happens in these past lives where you weren't able to complete your mission, you were really excited, you're on fire, and you had your pieces together on some level, right? Where you had like your position in the world or support in your family on some level, and you're going for it, right? And then beaten down. And then what happens is, as a soul, you want to come right back to the earth and get back to work on it. But then there's this unresolved personality complex from that past life. And this is where a lot of the issues come from in these soul groups, because we're supposed to get a whole new personality each lifetime. But if we have unresolved personalities, then it's like we're like, and then what's been happening in the last few years has been this like bleed through of these parallel lives, these other past or parallel lives, like bleeding through our current reality, where all of a sudden you're viscerally having experience of something that happened to you in the past on a physical level and can't make any sense of it at all, right? And so, but it's like all about resolving all of these personalities, all these stories, all of this. And a lot of that has to do with what's coming up right now for these souls. Is like, there's something you need to do. You failed in your mission, like figure it out, and it's like right on the other side of those feelings is like a door turning, and it's kind of like that door opens from the inside, like Rumi says. And it's like, oh, like this is my mission and my purpose. And I couldn't actually do it until now, really. And it all is going to be worth it. Like everything, the most souls that have gone through the most painful past life experiences. And this is why you have this energy of like being a victim of abuse and you don't have an origin of it. A lot of times that's kind of how it feels. And it's like beaten down by life and feeling like life is working against you, because yes, if you're here for spiritual ascension and you're here to be on the path of spiritual ascension, then the forces that are trying to hold that back, which is all what the control energies are all about, like the dark forces on our planet are all working against spiritual ascension, because if we ascend, then they can't feed us on us anymore, right? They can't even stay on the planet because the vibration can't host them. Right. And that's this transition we've been trying to make. We've been trying to bring as much of souls with us. That's been why it's taking so long. We're doing it consciously. Whereas like in the past, you've done spiritual ascension unconsciously, kind of like going, it's okay. The vibration shift is okay. And that's why you're here to hold space for it. But we're doing it differently this time. And so that's the place we're in, of this convergence of these timelines. And so that's why it's so potent and powerful, these soul groups coming online right now and giving yourselves permission to be in the higher frequency vibrations, because it's okay. You don't even know, beyond it's okay. It's glorious and beautiful, just glimpses, And little by little, you allow yourself more and more of that higher vibrational frequency of this ecstatic joy that's trying to come into our world right now, the crowning of the birth of humanity into the new age, And so in this convergence of timelines, that's why it's so weird, because it's like, oh, reality isn't making sense, because we've got all these lower timelines and our higher timelines, and or who knows if it's lower or higher or just vibrational frequency differently. So reality isn't lining up, and yet it is. And the message is that, like, we can't harmonize down. You've spent too much time doing that in the past, in past lives, right? This is part of the problem. This is Chiron and Aries. The pain of Chiron and Aries is about where you've had to turn down your light, pretend you're not a light worker, pretend you're not a healer, pretend you're just a regular old person in order to survive, right? And so now is the time for you to be like, oh, yes. So much problems and tension and frustration and illness, and I work with people individually, comes from one simple origin: the tension of turning down who you are and pretending you're different and turning down your light so you're safe here. And so that's a big part of what's going on right now, because in the next couple of days, Chiron and Black Moon Lilith, were very close in exact conjunction. We had that for close to a month, and they've moved apart now. Black Moon Lilith is at 7 degrees Aries, but Chiron's about to move tomorrow to 6 degrees. So for the next couple of days, Chiron and Black Moon Lilith are just 1 degree apart again. And it's kind of like a resolving of these issues, trying to come forward, the darkest, and how is that related of what we've allowed to happen in our evolution? And how is that related to these light workers that have turned down their light to survive and are saying, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not possible. You'll make yourself really sick. And the new energies are right there available. And then that goes back to that Mars square Uranus. Do you deserve? Are you good enough? Are you worthy? Worthy of your own light, worthy of all of this work you've done over many evolutions and experiences? It doesn't make sense, right? It's a false concept, but it all goes along with this old paradigm. And it's like all the old paradigm, you freed yourself on a huge level of the whole paradigm. And now we're like back together in the timelines, right? But that's where you come in, because we can't harmonize down. We can't go down to the darkest negative timeline. No way. And that's why you're being asked to go within, to go to your lodge, to go into prayer, to go into meditation, to go to your light that you have been waiting for so long. And it's finally time to step into the bigger truth of who you are, even though this is, you don't know, it's been so disconnected. Part of these unresolved personality constructs is that you're disconnected. The whole point of it is to disconnect you from your true self. Disconnect you from your purpose. Say, oh, no, that's not important. You're just silly thinking you have some spiritual purpose here, right? That's what everybody around you for lifetimes has told you. And then you're lost and isolated, so deep isolation in these soul groups, coming to the surface now because it's over. But know that people are going through this wave of the failure. I've got to do something to fix this problem, right? I failed in my mission. Like, oh my God, like the world is turning to darkness. And it's like, no. It's turning to light. And the darkness is showing itself as a healing crisis. And your services, your energy, who you are in your truth is sorely needed right now. And so much gratitude for it, And now the shift is going from, if you were on the cutting edge of ascension, you came here for this, you've gone through all of this darkness, through this whole evolution just for this. If you're that type of soul, the more awareness, experience, even though you don't have conscious awareness of it now, but the more experienced and advanced soul you are, the more you were targeted and beaten down by the control energies. Because like, oh, if you're here to lead the way for spiritual ascension, then why don't we just target them? And then we can keep humanity down in general, right? But the shift here is now going from everything working against you in the lower matrix paradigm to everything supporting you, holding you, loving you, your community, your got your connection to consciousness, your crown chakra available again, then higher frequency vibrations want to buoy you up and hold you and support you on the journey. And that's a big shift, right? And that's where these souls, this is where what you're going through. You're going back into those dark feelings that you haven't been able to completely resolve of failing on your mission, and you didn't do what you're supposed to do, and you're not good enough, and all that, you're not worthy. And then to like, oh, no, it's not worthy or unworthy, you're deserving or not deserving. It's just who I am, and I'm ready to receive. And then, that your soul purpose is to be present, to support these timelines coming together through this portal to harmonize up, and it's kind of got this divine masculine energy, this Mars energy in square to Uranus is kind of like, yeah, no, like this is the way it's going to be, because you can't stay in the lower vibrations. It'll make you sick. And it feels so heavy and dark. You have a little bit of time into the new, you let yourself just for a few minutes be in that ecstatic joy of what we're really here to feel right now. And then you go back to the lower matrix of the people around you. And it's like, oh my God, it's like soul curdling pain, right? You can't do it anymore. And so it's like so much of this evolution is about you feeling worthy of feeling good. And that's your soul purpose and that's your mission. And let's get on with it. Let's birth this baby here together. So very powerful energies. And if you wanted to catch that meditation, the link is still below. If you wanted to get the replay of that Victory of the Light meditation, huge energy of like, so just the power of our consciousness, these souls going from complete and total spiritual isolation, the programming of that, and that's what you deserve. That's what spiritual awakening is isolation. That's what we've been taught and programmed into like, wow, we're working together as a team. And this is so cool. And I was never alone. And I have not only these other souls on the planet, but incredible levels of beneficial support if I can receive it and know I'm worthy and ask for it and let these higher vibrations come in. And it's like kind of like this platform is coming in, right? And it's almost like, are you going to step onto it? These new possibilities, And it's like, I don't know, maybe I should stay down here and help these people that are struggling. And it's like, oh yeah, but then your soul is getting crushed, and that's like more and more evidence that you're supposed to be here. That's your soul purpose. That's when you're doing what you're here to do. That's when you're completing your mission. But it's just so backwards from everything we've been experiencing for so long, lifetimes. This is unraveling lifetimes. Your whole evolution is coming to a head right now in this portal. So I think that kind of helps us make sense that, oh, it's all these timelines converging. That's why none of the levels of reality are lining up and making sense. And that's even more evidence that you are to support the leveling up, like we cannot harmonize down, can't do it. And so very potent and powerful energies and something resolving this week, right? Because Mercury is on the way today, last day of we're feeling this Mercury Neptune, and Mercury's like, later, I'm out of here. I'm out of the dungeon. I've been in Pisces long enough. We've been in Pisces long enough. And we've got to get into some new energy. So when Mercury moves into the sign of Pisces on Sunday, this next weekend, that's going to be a big shift. And this week is kind of like back and forth, giving yourself permission as much as you can to be in the crowning. You're here for the crowning. You are fully prepared and fully skilled and an expert at leading the way in spiritual ascension. And you got to go for it, right? But a lot resolving because we've got that Chiron, Black Moon, Lilith coming into 1 degree apart again, the darkness that's got to be revealed, for us to move forward. And you also have are here to hold space for these hard truths coming forward in our world, and that you can hold a bigger spiritual picture. And so that's weird because right now we're getting personal spiritual validation in our meditations that we are so worthy and so needed and so so just so much gratitude for you being you and showing up and allowing yourself this experience. But then it's going to be a weird thing too for these souls. It's the masses are like, oh God, I thought you were so weird this whole time, but can you please help me? Like, you're the one I want to talk to now. you know? Like, so be ready for that. Your isolation time, you might as well enjoy it while you have your meditation time, while everybody's in confusion. Because when the truths come to light, they're going to be like, oh my God, I want to talk to you. Like, you're the one, even though you've been cast aside and rejected, and like, why can't you just get your shit together and be a real person, you know? And it's like, oh, you are a real human, like beyond, you know, what all the programming and everything. And you're the one that the family wants to talk to when the shit goes down, you know? You're the one that brings spiritual security, and that's who you are. You're a spiritual security force right now, in just your sense of somehow some memory inside of you knowing that it's all okay, whatever we're experiencing right now, and knowing that the vibrational change is positive, you know, and then putting your attention there, because the lower matrix is dissolving. You can feel it. We're getting out of quarantine, and then it's kind of like, yeah, but do you deserve it? Right? In Stockholm syndrome, where it's like, I'm seeing kind of a dog like being abused and chained up and in this tiny little pen all its life. And then when the pen is open and it's like, come on out. And the dog is like, no, this is all I know. You know, I kind of want to stay here in my little pen, you know? And that's where we've got to draw on our ancient truths, our expertise, our spiritual power that's now ready to land home. Now it's finally time. Now the energies can support us, and step out of the gate into the Technicolor 5D Mother Earth Gaia full expression of what she came here to be and humanity came here to be. And we know we have these codes, and kind of tapping into that and knowing that that's so much more real than everything that's been happening here, where everything you've been told is like, you're just crazy, you know, like your reality, your spiritual stuff, that's not even real. Like, you know, and now it's like the realization, oh, that's so much more real. It's so much more real than what's playing out in the manifest world. And let yourself be there. Let yourself have this victory in the light and move into these higher frequency vibrations. We're doing it. And all those group meditations yesterday, taking advantage of this energy and coming together in our group consciousness, so incredibly powerful. And it does feel like it's tipped the scales. And so we have a little bit more permission throughout our day to be in the hope and the positivity of what we really know, what we know is really happening here. So have fun and get to work. And I look forward to seeing you soon tomorrow on the next update. Maybe you'll consider that full moon activation Tuesday night for the Libra full moon, calling down spiritual justice to this planet. You know, part of the timelines all converging means we need spiritual justice, and we got to kick that dark shit off of our planet. And that's part of what's happening too. So I look forward to seeing you there or on the next update tomorrow. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.